How you going? Today I'm going to show you one of the best knots there is for attaching your leader to your braid, or even just leader to normal monofilament, and that knot's called the FG knot, and it's one of the best knots that there is out there to tie. Trouble is, it's been so tricky to tie, but now people have come up with a new way to tie that, but unfortunately that information isn't readily out there, so I'm going to show you just how to do it. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to tie an FG knot, and once you get good at it, it's only going to take you about 30 seconds, and all you need is your fingers and your feet. Okay, that's my braided line. Normally that'll be coming from my rod tip. In this case it's some spider wire and 20 pound. I double a section of that over. So there we go, a doubled section, around about 30 to 40 centimetres long, and just trap that with my thumb against my bottom two fingers and start to wrap around those fingers on top of the line so that the line locks itself off. The idea being that I want to be able to pull that line up around those two fingers. Just need it a little bit longer, so I'll let it slide. Wrap, so that when I open it up, in those two fingers there's my loop, stick the fingers inside, thumb and forefinger, the pointer finger, that opens it up like that. I then take my middle finger and slide it inside through the loop like that. So it goes in through there like that, and I use it as a little triggery, grippy finger like that. So here's my leader, some 60 pound vanish, a fairly heavy leader, so this is barra size tackle that we're using here. The same knot but works on light tackle too, so you can use it on your brim, on your bass gear, that sort of thing, flathead, whatever. Light leader works just as good. So I trap my leader spool under my foot, pass the leader over my knee, and by trapping it under my foot, it won't pull off anymore, so I'm actually putting a lot of tension on that. I then take that middle finger there that's gone through that loop and just grab a hold of that leader. I then reach down through this gap just here, pick up my leader, and I go one side of the braid. That finger then comes through and grabs that line. I then reach in again, the other side of the braid. In again, the other side, and I just keep alternating one side to the other. And you just keep doing that from one side to the other. Using that middle finger there, this finger here is a little grabber. Each time it grabs, it gives a little pull on the line too. If you can't work that finger straight away, it's a good idea after you've done a few twists there to just grab your leader and give it a good yank this way. That's why we've locked it off with our foot so that we can pull on it quite hard. Keeping it all nice and tight helps the knot go a lot quicker. Most people like to go 1 centimetre with their twists. I like to go between 1 and 2 centimetres long of twists of the line there. So the lighter the line, the more twists you'll put in. So there I've got my twists, and what that forms is a trap. The tighter we pull on that, the harder it's going to trap down. I just pinch that, everything there, unwrap that before the blood stops to my fingers, and now I'm just going to take a wrap on my braid just so that I can lock the braid off a little bit just to finish the knot. So my main line now, the one that goes back to my rod tip, the braid is actually wrapped around my foot nice and tight there. I've got the other two just here, still got my leader material over the other knee. You can use a cleat on your boat. You don't have to use your knee. I just find the knee handy because you don't need any other tools. You just need something to make that nice and tight. So now I have my main line and my end of my leader going back in the same direction, straight through. And this one that finished it off, the tag end, is just a loose end. So what I do with that is a half hitch. I take one, lay it over the top, and I'll pass it back in underneath and pull it up tight. Nice and tight. I then do a reverse half hitch. So I come in underneath and then through, then over the top, pull it through and tight, underneath, pull it through and tight. And you might find different ways of doing these half hitches. I've just found that keeping everything tight just makes the whole half hitch process so much easier. I actually find the half hitches more tricky than the twists of the FG knot. I do about half a dozen of those, give it a little moisten up, and then this is when we lock it all in. And when we lock it in, we pull hard, like really hard. Like that is really biting in and cutting in. We want that braid to actually bite and cut into that monofilament or fluorocarbon leader. You don't want to have any slippage later on, you want to get it all now. So everything's slipped there. I can actually take the tag end of the leader, take your braid scissors and trim that as short as you can get it. Even if that knot was to slip a little bit more, it's not going to matter because we've got those half dozen half hitches for it to slip inside of. Just to finish it off, I'm just going to do a few more half hitches, alternating once again, under and over, just to protect the main line a little bit. And there we have it, finished knot once this is trimmed. Once again, trim it nice and short. Doesn't matter if 1 or 2 half hitches come undone, we just end up with a little tag. But that's it, the FG knot, tied with 20-pound spider wire stealth and some 60-pound vanished fluorocarbon leader. And I can pull on that as hard as I like. That is not going to break. Check it out, it's going to go straight through runners. It is just one hell of an awesome knot. I fished some pretty snaggy structure today, and unfortunately I busted off a few leaders, so I'm just going to tie a leader in this 6-pound nanofill. Nanofill can be a hard line to tie a leader in, so I'm just going to double about 30 to 40 centimetres over, and we'll start on that FG knot, which in this nanofill is flawless. So I just pinch that off, take a few wraps around my fingers just like that, wrapping it around. One more wrap, just so that I've got enough to open up my fingers fairly wide like that. I'm going to use up a little bit of this line in tying this knot when I put the twists in. I've got my fingers open, causing that to spread apart under tension. Then take that middle finger and put it back in. You can, open it up so you can get it in, but once you get good at it, you'll get him in there, no dramas at all. So the middle finger's in, keep that nice and open like that. I then take the leader, in this case, just some 14-pound Berkeley Sensei, that's it just there, fluorocarbon leader material. I'm just going to pop that under my foot, take the end of the leader, run it up over my knee, just need a little bit more, there we go, so it just fits in there nicely like that. I then pinch it in there underneath with that middle finger like that, and pull everything tight. I'm going to go towards me the first one, away from me, towards me, away from me, towards me, away from me, towards, away, towards, away. I just keep doing that, towards, away, towards, away. It doesn't matter if we get a little bit of a V in here. Things don't have to be packed up really tight. It's actually better to make these wraps so that when you look at them closely, that you can see the crisscross pattern in them. We don't want them bunched up together. What happens if we get those twists apart a little bit is it actually bites down better into the monofilament or fluorocarbon leader. So there we go, I've got at least a good centimetre of twisted line, getting close to 2 centimetres, which is where I like to stop it. Probably taken around about 30 or 40 twists to do that, but you notice it probably, if you would have done it quickly, about 20 or 30 seconds. Pinch that off there, then I'll click my reel into gear. I just want to pull that line up a little bit tight, put it under tension, because that just makes the final process of putting in the half hitches easier. So that one there is my main line running up towards my rod tip, just here. My tag end I leave hanging just nice and loose down, and I pinch my leader material, the tag of my leader material, against the main line. Just put that tension on with my knee, and I'm going to pass a half hitch over both lines, going over the top, coming in from underneath, a half hitch, alternate those once again, just to make them lock down better, over the top, underneath, over the top, and underneath. I like to do at least 6 of those just to allow for a little bit of slippage and just to protect the knot a little bit better. So that's about 6 or 7 once I get this final one done. Over the top, there we go. Now before I trim it, a little bit of lubrication, and this is where we test it. Give it a good hard yank. I'm pushing that line to its limit. I'm really pulling hard on that just there. That's it just there. So that's our finished knot. Now we just need to trim it. We could fish with that trimmed as it is just there. I just pull it all out so you can have a good close look at that knot. It's nice and neat. There's nothing to catch on the rod runners. This knot doesn't have any loops or anything that grab your rod. No need for a double. They're just awesome, and it's just close to 100% knot strength all the time. A lot of times it'll break on the braid or on the leader. It doesn't often break at the knot. It's just a magic knot to use. Just to finish it off, I'll take my braid scissors. I trim that really nice and close as I can get it there. Some people might like to leave a little tag and get a lighter or a cigarette just to burn a ball on that, just for a bit of added security. I used to, but I trust the knot now that it's not going to slip so much that I haven't been bothering. And just to finish it off, just to make it nice and neat, I just like to throw some half hitches just over the main line as well. Don't have to do these, this is an optional. So once again, just under and overs, just to throw in about 3 or 4 half hitches, just to protect the main line a little bit right up against the knot. It sort of helps taper taper the knot a little bit too, I guess, and makes it flow through the runners even better. Just trim him up. And there we go. The quick and easy way to tie an FG knot in just about any sort of line. That one's done in 6 pound with 14 pound leader. Make sure you have a go. You won't be sorry. It's an awesome knot.